Hello, everybody, and welcome to the August 6th version of Trips and Traps. It's the first Saratoga Trips and Traps ever, and we're actually outside. It's a beautiful day. I'm Andy Serling, joined by Eric Donovan.
Yeah, it's great to be up here at Saratoga. We're not going to waste any time to get into the flavor of Saratoga. We thought we'd do the first race from opening day on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's a race where the winner has a perfect trip. The second finisher has a less than perfect trip, but in a way, they both had good setups because it was a race that absolutely falls apart. The 5 Dantastic finished second here, and he breaks a little bit slowly. Nothing major, but it ends up putting him well back in the field. Now, he does save ground into the turn, and as I said, it was a race that collapsed, so that worked in his favor. But boy, Dantastic, the difference between Dantastic's trip and the trip of the winner, Good Prospect, the 7, who you'll basically see sitting the perfect tuck the whole way, is sort of monumental, and it really shows why we had this result. And I think everybody was in the front end was compromised by the dynamics of the race.
I agree, and this is a pure example of two-turn racing on the turf at Saratoga. We don't get to see a ton of it at Belmont just with the way the courses are configured there, but the races are definitely a lot different here. And, well, like most cases, the trip that the 7 Good Prospect is getting is usually where you want to be, kind of in any track, certainly right behind the leaders there. But certainly I think it's a little bit harder to make up ground from last on these turf courses here than it is at Belmont, especially if you have to swing wide around the turn. Now, the horse we're looking for, Dantastic, isn't even on the screen yet, still toward the back of the pack here, while Good Prospect still gets that good perfect trip. And, you know, the pace here is fair. I mean, there's going to be 3 or 4 horses kind of spread out around the turn here going for the lead with Good Prospect sitting behind him, and then you'll see Dantastic get involved too shortly here.
Yeah, you know, also important to point out, the horse who's in the lead here, the 4 Silver King, actually runs pretty well. He finishes 4th. I was interested in Smart and Destiny, a horse off a winner at Churchill. He's the 11 who's making that sort of wide premature move on the turn, and he's really aggressively ridden. There's Good Prospect hugging the rail. Dantastic all the way in the back, towards the back of the pack, now angling far, far wide. He's widest of all. He wasn't that wide in the turn. He was about 3 wide, angled out sort of 6 wide, but you see Good Prospect cutting the corner, coming up the fence, just having the absolute dream run. And the thing is, you were talking about, with Tough coming from well back in these races, unless we get a dramatic pace, is basically because you end up getting spun out in the turn, as Dantastic did. And as you'll see, when he gets his legs under him late in the race, he's really running.
Yeah, you definitely lose a lot of momentum coming off the turn here, making those kind of moves that, you know, you see horses make at Belmont, maybe a little bit more easy to go on with it at Belmont, whereas here you do lose a little bit of momentum as you turn to the stretch, but you saw Dantastic there come with that good finish on the outside, and I think if the trips are reversed, Dantastic probably wins that race.
Yeah, and Dantastic is in terrific form. Rick Schosberg's done a great job with him because he really didn't get his act together at all, and he was running a dirt race. He's not really a dirt horse, but even when he got back to the turf as we began the turf season, but slowly but surely, he's really come alive, and he's run one good race after another. Looking forward to seeing him come back, and I'm looking forward to betting against Good Prospect, and I would definitely move up horses that were on or near the lead in this race.
Especially the ones, I think, chasing outside.
Yeah.
You mentioned the horse that held on for 4th Money Silver King was down inside. I'd be interested in betting the horses outside.
Yeah.
But we got a couple of 2-year-olds to show you in this segment as well. The first race we're going to show you for 2-year-olds is the 7th race from opening day, actually. The 8 Trap Shot, a horse that took a lot of money in this spot here. Breaks bad, stumbles soon after the start there, and really, you know, gets behind the 8 ball, and he's the number 8 horse.
Yeah, I mean, we're showing you a horse here in Trap Shot that's going to be everybody's, you know, horse they're waiting for, and he's going to come back either later in the meet, probably at 7 furlongs, or even maybe at Belmont at a mile, and he's going to be a short price, and he's going to win. And also, probably going to win stake races. Actually, it's a she, Trap Shot, correct? Or no, it's a colt.
Boy.
I'm sorry. And he's a stake horse, in my opinion. He's a very expensive 2-year-old buy. He moves up really readily up on the inside, but he gets in trouble legitimately from start to finish in this race.
Absolutely. You see right here, try to come up the inside. We're also going to take another look at the head-on of the 6 Steady Eddie. We'll do that a little bit later on, but Trap Shot, you can see, you know, going to have to deal with some traffic, just steadied a little bit there on the turn. So bad break, steadying at the start. You know, it's amazing this horse does any running whatsoever in the stretch and actually gets up to be 5th here. You know, it does save some ground, but does get in trouble along the way, for most of the part.
Yeah, he does. I mean, you're right. He is saving ground, but you'll see he'll get in trouble here in the stretch. And also, he gets sort of blind switch trying to run. He's bounced around a little between horses there, and then he'll want to angle out, but he can't really get that angle clear to make his run. And he's sort of idling here behind horses. And as you'll see, the horses on the outside being to close in this race, and the winner was very impressive in here, no doubt about it. But right in here, he wants to run. There's a horse in front of him. The door gets shut on him once again. He has to rally around. I was sort of amazed he actually finished 5th. Trap Shot's a very talented horse.
Very talented horse, and we'll take a look at the head-on shot here, and you just see how bad he actually stumbles. And jockey Alan Garcia, I think, did a very nice job to just simply stay aboard him here after kind of coming away a little awkwardly. Took that stumble there, a little bit green here, drifting out a little bit. Going to come back inside and save the ground there, but just a bad start for Trapshot. That's going to get him into trouble throughout the race because he's behind all these inexperienced 2-year-olds. We're also going to take a look here at the number 6 horse, and that's Steady Eddie coming up on the outside. There's Trapshot down at the rail. We got him circled now, and Steady Eddie's out in about the 5 path, I would say, in the Dogwood Soaks. And the 4 horse in here, McJoey, is going to be the one that causes some interference here with Steady Eddie. McJoey's down on the inside of the Zayed Soaks. You see racing very greenly there. Not going to handle the turn all that well. Comes out and forces Steady Eddie out into about the 7 or 8 path. I guess you can see it real detailed there. And then down toward the inside, you'll be able to see Trapshot getting back on the screen, steadying once again.
Yeah, I mean, Trapshot just gets in trouble constantly, and obviously Steady Eddie was taken out. I bet him in that race, so he probably had no shot anyway. But Trapshot will have the trouble there. And Trapshot, what I was most amazed about him was how he had that sort of push-button speed after stumbling so badly. How he easily moved up on the inside and got himself back into the game, and then had trouble again, and just sort of kept on rallying after the trouble. I just think this is a very, very talented horse.
I agree, and be a very short price in his next start as well.
He will, but you want to point out sometimes some of these maidens at Saratoga that are going to go on, because we do see them go on. This one, he stays sound. He's going to do some good things.
Speaking of going on, let's move on to our next race. We'll take a look at Bulls and Bears in the Sanford Stakes. Similar to Trapshot in that Bulls and Bears gets away from the gate poorly here, and this is a horse that had run pretty impressively first time out down at Belmont, but gets left behind a couple lengths here at the start.
Yeah, it feels to me, and we're going to show the head on the start, and you'll see what we're talking about. This is a horse that everybody was talking about after the race. Look, I'd liked him a lot going in, and I think ultimately, unless he gets his act together, he is the biggest trap in history, this horse. Because first of all, this whole race I don't think was very good. The Philly race at Schuylerville blows this field away from the race from the opening day. This was a race you have 3 pretty much sort of no-shotters on the front end battling it out in a fast pace, and the whole race just completely collapses. So even there's a little trouble for Bulls and Bears at the start, as you're going to see, he's green as can be in the stretch. He's green the whole way. He causes problems for himself at the start. He gets in position to do some damage here. It's not like he couldn't have won the race, all things considered, and he's just a bad actor. He acted so well and professionally in his debut, and he just acted like the greenest 2-year-old of all. Now maybe he's just a young horse, needs to get his act together, and here he is. But ultimately, I want no part of this horse.
Yeah, you see Bulls and Bears here. It looks like he wants to go outside the jock. He can't get him outside. He's going to be in a path here where certainly he has a chance to run him down, and then he takes that duck in right in between horses, gets in a dicey spot there, and then comes back on outside, and Bulls and Bears does finish 5th in this race here. There'll be a lot of debate about this. A lot of people will say this is a trouble trip. They're going to want him bet back, but I think it's key to note that these horses, these young horses, they have to not only get it together physically, but mentally as well. And you see the head on here with Bulls and Bears coming out of the start, getting a little bit off to a slow break, maybe bumped a little bit too by the horse on the outside, and then you're going to see Bulls and Bears drift way out. So this is just another example of the greenness Bulls and Bears showed in that race on the Sanford.
Yeah, I agree. He's a talented horse, and sort of having fun watching it. It is fun to watch these 2-year-old races and see how poorly they act and how stupid they are, to be honest. And then it's really interesting to watch them progress, because as they'll get their acts together, and clearly if he sort of gets it together, he can be a good horse. I'm just dubious about this horse. But anyway, that does it for our first segment of Trips and Traps. And once again, we have that email address, tripsandtraps@NYRAinc.com. Keep the suggestions and thoughts coming. We love hearing from you. Thanks for watching.
And we'll be back with the second segment.